Hello, welcome to Dry Creek Beekeeping. In this video I'm going to show you how to clean, or to use a better word, render beeswax by turning this into this. Alright, to start making beeswax you're going to need a few things. First off, you're going to need a pan. This is just to hold the water. You're going to need a cooking surface. I'm using a grill because sometimes this can be a pretty messy process. A smaller can or lid. I just got this baked beans can. And then of course you're going to need wax, which comes in many different ways. It can be anywhere from this color, this deep brown, all the way to something like this, which is wax from the cappings of previous year honey harvest that I borrowed from a local beekeeper, and huge thanks to him. Now, step one, if you've done this before, then you're going to have a messy can like this. It doesn't really matter how it looks, but you're going to need to get filled the bottom of this about like 2-3 inches with water. It doesn't have to be clean water or tap water, just water. Once you've done that, get in position, and then from there what you're going to want to do is fire up whatever cooking surface you're using. So start out by putting it on high and then wait for the water to start boiling. While you're waiting for the water to start boiling, there are a couple more things that you're going to need. You're going to need thicker mesh or wire mesh like this. This will collect any big material like dead bees that may be in the wax. And then you're also going to need some much thinner mesh like this. And it doesn't have to be metal, it can be cloth. Either way, it needs to be thin. I've used this before. This is what I use to actually strain the wax, as you can see. Alright, now that there's a light boil going, you can take that second can and place it in there, although that's not going to work just yet because, as you can see, it's floating. So what you're going to need to do is set it off to the side for a second, and while it's set off to the side, get your wax and start loading it in. You don't have to like sift out the wax or anything, because the way this is being done, it doesn't actually matter. Any gross stuff in there like dead bees will just come right out. Once you get to almost the top, about 3/4 of the way, then you can stop filling it, and then you can set it into your thing. Now the wax will slowly melt. As it melts, you can slowly add more wax. As your wax melts, you're probably going to want to set something heavy on top of it to keep it down, and also get something to push that wax down, because sometimes air can form and the wax doesn't go all the way down, and then your wax won't melt. Also remember that as your wax is melting, to turn the heat down on your stove so that the wax doesn't get too hot, because at 180 degrees wax will start to lose its scent that it's famous for. Once you get some more of that wax pushed down, you can go ahead and add some more. Just take the weight off. Always remember to wear a glove because it's very warm. And once you've filled it back up, go ahead and set it back down in the water. And if you're using a grill like me, then shut the grill lid and come back to it once it's melted a little bit more. Also remember to check it every once in a while to make sure that it's not getting too hot, and also to press down. As you can see, some of this top stuff here has started melting, and that's because I'm using a grill. Also remember that wax has a much lower ignition temperature than most other things. It ignites at about 400 degrees, so if you're using a grill, pay super close attention to the thermometer on the top or side or wherever it may be on the grill. Once that's done and there are no little chunks of beeswax left, well, I do have a couple chunks in here left, but they're so small that they'll be gone in just a couple seconds if I just stir it a little bit. Alright, once that's done, take out your stirring rod, which might have this nasty stuff on it. That's fine. And then turn off the heat to whatever cook surface you're using. And if you're using a grill, turn off the propane. That's pretty important. And then just kind of like set that on the ground. So now what you're going to want to do is get your mold, set it here, or wherever it's convenient for you. And then take the thicker mesh, and once you set your thicker mesh there, then you can take your molten beeswax and run it through the thicker mesh. One second. Doesn't matter how you do your mold, you can hold it up into the air a little bit. With this, you don't need to be that precise because it's not as important. Oop. Give it a little bit of a shake. Make sure all that nice beeswax strains through. Down at the bottom, there might actually be non-beeswax liquid. This is okay. This happens. That's why there are 2 straining cycles. All right. And look at that. It's all empty. You can set that back in there. I also wear a beekeeping glove for this. It works really well to keep out heat. And just make sure all of that nice beeswax strains through. This probably took me about an hour, I think. Maybe a little bit less. It's already solidifying on the surface here, so this is all mostly just nasty at this point. So what you can do is set it up here on top of this and let the rest of it just drip down into here. And then also just let this air dry, or if you want to dry faster, if you want it to look better, you can put it in the fridge or freezer to get it to cool down faster, because sometimes doing it like this makes these ripples on top and then sometimes it doesn't look as great. But if you put it in the fridge, it can crack or something, and it's a delicate balance. Also, all that nasty stuff, if you want, you can get a smaller can like this and take that nasty stuff and just put it in that can. I recommend keeping it because it makes a pretty good fire starter, because it's just burnable material mixed with wax, and that's just perfect. Once your block of wax is dry, then what you need to do is break it free from the mold and see how it looks. Alright, so here's your block of wax. Now you just gotta carefully remove it. So you may notice that there is a lot of nasty stuff in there, but that's okay, that's kind of expected. And so now what you're going to want to do is wash both your mold and your beeswax off. Just get all this nasty stuff off. This is mainly just honey, water, and then whatever else may have been mixed in there, including dust, and yeah. And it's very fine because we put it through that thing already. So after this, if you're planning to just store this, then you're going to want to melt it down again and put it through an even finer filter. But I personally am not going to do that because I'm just going to turn it straight into a candle. So I'm going to go wash this off. Once you've cleaned both of your things off, the mold and the wax you can never get perfectly clean. It's going to have this, but that's just like a thin layer, and it's melted into the wax. And this, you can notice that there is still some stuff in here. You're going to want to put that in the dishwasher if you can, and if not, then you're really going to want to scrub it to get all that stuff out. Well, that's the end of this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the content that I'm creating. And also, come back pretty soon because I'm probably going to be making a video on how to make a beeswax candle.